Dynamite. This is Dante with Rangers of Wrestling, bringing you the Wrestling Time post show. And for tonight, I'm reviewing AEW Dynamite. Tonight's AEW Dynamite was the go home show, 2 All Out, and it kicked off with a Jon Moxley promo. So I have to say, there were so many things. There were things I liked about tonight's show, and then there were things I disliked about tonight's show. So, like I was saying, it kicked off with a Jon Moxley promo. And he was basically talking about how he was a 60-minute man and he had 57 minutes left inside of him. So if he had 57 minutes left inside of him, that means it took 3 minutes to beat CM Punk. He says that he is the heart and soul of AEW and that he finds out what people are really made out of. He tests them and he pushes them. And he gave him his best shot and didn't care. So he's basically saying that CM Punk was looking for a way out. And he folded up like a little ball. And then the CM Punk charts started chanting. So just remind you, they are in Chicago. So of course Chicago is going to chant for CM Punk. This came off very heelish to me, if you ask me. It felt a little different than Jon Moxley's usual promos. I just felt like he was being a little bit of a heel. And he says that he's felt genuinely sorry for the fact that Punk didn't turn out to be what anybody wanted. Turned out to be what people wanted in Punk. He says he was given a second chance at this sport and he's truly sorry and he has zero sympathy for Punk. Ouch. Ouch. He goes on to say that CM Punk has a fragile ego, a weak spirit, and a weak mind. I mean, ouch. I felt that when he said that, I felt that. And he pulls out a contract, and it was a contract for a title match at All Out, and he left it in the ring, and he said that anybody from AEW, New Japan, or any else can sign it and challenge for a title match at All Out. And he basically sends a message to this person saying that he can outrun them in a marathon, outsprint them, and give fewer F-bombs than anybody. And wrestling Jon Moxley may be hazardous to your health, and that they've been warned. And then AC still comes on and gets the contract. So I really dug this promo by Jon Moxley. I really did. I liked it. I think he played his role really well. But the one thing I disliked was this whole contract signing. And I'll explain later why. Because AEW usually does this. It's like they do an angle. Like, I'll give an example. Danhausen was supposed to have mystery partners a couple months ago. I think it was about a month or two ago. And they're in Detroit. And they over here got me thinking it was going to be the Motor City Machine Guns. It ended up being FTR. But anyhow, I'll explain more when I get to the part as to why I didn't like this. So they goes backstage to Chris Jericho. And he talks about how it's a Lionheart versus the American Dragon, a dream match for most, a nightmare for Bryan. But the main focus of this segment was that Daniel Garcia shows up and tells Jericho and apologizes for last week. And he says he's pledging his alliance to Jericho Appreciation Society and that he knows Jericho doesn't need to cheat to win and he's going to be the best version of himself. And then Jericho tells Bryan that he is the best technical sports entertainer. So this leads into Jake Hager versus Bryan Danielson. Of course, Chris Jericho is on commentary, right? Now, Hager here has a size advantage. I actually didn't mind this match at all. I think one of my favorite spots was when, Bryan had put Hager into the label lock, and then Hager reversed it into the ankle lock, and then Bryan reversed that into the label lock. That was my favorite spot in this match. Mostly, Moxley's promo was great, Master Yoda said. Okay, Master Yoda has good taste. So Bryan Danielson ends up winning this match. And at the end, Angelo Parker, Matt Menard come out and attack Bryan. Claudio Castelloni and Wheeler Yuta come out to eat Bryan. Jericho abandons commentary and comes out with a chair and attempts to hit Bryan. Awesome match this was. Bryan is just so good as always. But then something interesting happens. Daniel Garcia comes out, he takes the chair out of Chris Jericho, basically saying that he doesn't need the chair to beat Bryan. And Bryan ends up attacking Jericho. So to me, this tells me that maybe maybe Daniel Garcia is going to have a change of heart. I think he's going to see that Chris Jericho will stop at anything to beat Daniel Bryanson. So he's probably not going to be like that at all. So I'm very, I totally see Daniel Garcia switching sides and joining the Blackpool Combat Club. And it was a great match. I like that match. It was Garcia's gonna go babyface. Oh, he definitely is. He most definitely is gonna go babyface. This next segment, I have a lot to talk. I have quite a few things. I have something to say about this next segment. So this is followed up with the Wingman segment. And they said, guess who's not booked, who's not the hottest, prettiest, sexiest guy on the roster, and say Wingman Wednesday. So W. Morrissey comes out. Give me 1 second, guys. My dog wanted to come in. Okay. So W. Morrissey comes out and he destroys the Wingmen. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have watched Impact Wrestling. Probably none. Probably not a lot of people. Maybe like one person who's watching this has watched Impact Wrestling. But I personally did not like this segment for this reason. So W. Morrissey destroys the Wingmen. I had no problem with that. No issue, whatever. Awful waste of time that segment was. Why was this on Dynamite? It screamed AEW Dark. So you see Stokely Hathaway handing W. Morrissey a card. And when confronted as to why he's handing out business cards, he tells Tony Schiavone, that's none of your business. So I have no problem, none whatsoever, with W. Morrissey coming out and destroying the Wingman. I think that W. Morrissey might have signed full-time with AEW. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. My issue is that you're going to pair him up immediately with Stokely Hathaway. Why? So he comes out, he has his debut, and now we're not going to see him? I mean, where's Ethan Page? Where's all these men that Stokely Hathaway is recruiting? We haven't seen them. So you're basically having him debut, and now we're not going to see him until this faction debuts. And the reason why I don't like it is because W. Morrissey does not need to be in a faction. He doesn't need to be in a group. Anybody who watched his run on Impact knows how good W. Morrissey is. I mean, Impact Wrestling turned W. Morrissey into a freaking monster hero. Like, when he debuted at Impact, he was a monster heel. He was a monster heel, and he slowly became babyface as his run in Impact was ending. Not to mention, he cut one hell of a promo when they were in the 2300 arena. W. Morrissey doesn't need to be a part of this group. Just have him be a dominant heel. I didn't like that part. I didn't like it. Enzo just needs a call from Tony Khan. No, he doesn't. He doesn't need Enzo more. If you saw his run on Impact, he doesn't need Enzo. Impact did a hell of a job building up W. Morrissey. One hell of a job. And now he's regulated to being in a group. I'm sorry. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But that's just me. Some people might like it, but I personally don't. I don't like it at all. I just needed to rant a little bit for right there. I really like W. Morrissey, and I don't want him to be stuck in a group he doesn't really need to be a part of, because he can be by himself. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. You feel free to disagree with me. So then we get Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D, and Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida. This is a decent match. Of course, Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida are victorious, and so they have momentum going into All Out. Anyone even know what Enzo's up to these days? I haven't heard about that guy in a while. The last time I saw Enzo wrestle was 2019, I believe, at an indie show at a comedy store. So that was the last. I also saw David Arquette wrestle that day too. It was the last time I saw Enzo wrestle. I haven't seen him since. So then we get a CM Punk promo. He's basically talking about how he broke his foot on June 1st and then he wrestled an entire match on it. He said that on June 8, 2022, he got surgery, 3 plates and 16 screws put into his foot. And he says there's a lot of things he probably shouldn't have done in his career. And one of them was coming back early. He's making a lot of views on IG. Really? Enzo Amore? He's still certified G? Now, he said he had to drive home with his thoughts. And I really like that he mentions this. He says it's not the first time he gets beaten up in Cleveland. As we know, CM Punk does not have a good history with Cleveland. Cleveland being where he walked out from the WWE. Cleveland being where he lost, I believe, to Mickey Gall in his UFC debut. And he lost last week in Cleveland. So Cleveland, not a good city for CM Punk. Let's just go with that. And he basically got clear with the doctors. And he says he came back a year ago because he loves pro wrestling and he loves the fans. He feels like he let his little sister down and maybe the love just isn't there anymore. So AC Steel, the guy who came out at the beginning to get the contract from Moxley, he basically comes out. He says that they're family. And then like Punk goes into the crowd. And he says, we are Chicago, and then Moxley can break his bones, and they are one post running to the streets of Chicago. I actually really, really liked that he did that. I really did. That was incredible. You felt his passion. And they were in Chicago, so of course it was going to add to it, you know? You felt the passion. You felt the intensity. Now, to go back to the beginning. So, like, when Jon Moxley got the contract, I didn't like it because it led to, like, all of this. They did all of this just to get to Moxley and Punk, too, at All Out. And it's kind of like, why can't you just make this in, like, maybe one segment? Like, you have, like, when Moxley was talking, you could have had Punk come out. Like, I get they wanted to have Punk make this moment, but you didn't need to have the whole contract thing. Because now you're over here, like, oh, what? Okay. It's like it's gonna lead to Punk versus Moxley too. Why are we doing this whole contract thing? Yeah, you got me over here thinking Moxley's gonna face somebody else. And like I said earlier, they did this with Danhausen a couple of months ago, I think. You know, they were in Detroit and you had Danhausen say 2 mystery partners over here thinking it was a Motor City Machine Guns and being FTR. They could have just told us it was FTR. You know, so like that's the one thing I didn't like was the fact like you had Moxley do the whole open contract just so it'll lead to CM Punk again. Like, you know, you could have just had like a whole different segment, but that's just me. Again, you can feel free to disagree with me. Everybody's entitled to their opinions. And we had Christian Cage and the Jungle Boy interview, and I actually really like this. Like, Jungle Boy saying that he loves Christian, but he's not sure if Christian loves him back. Christian saying that he's here to win championships and make money. And Jungle Boy ends up by saying he's not going to be wrestling Jungle Boy, but Jack Perry. Oh, I really like that. I really like that he said that because now it's like it's making it personal. I mean, all that stuff that Christian said about his dad. Yeah, personal. I'm really excited. We get a quick trios matches. FTR and Wardlow versus Vic Capree, Silas Young, and Red Jones. I see that Punk segment was great. His friend Ace Steel knocked some sense into him with that slap. Yeah, but again, I just felt like they didn't have to do the whole contract thing. But again, I not that I disliked that Punk promo. I did like it. I just felt like they didn't have to do the whole contract thing to get to it. But that's just me. So this match with FTR and Wardlow, totally unnecessary. Really pointless. Weakest match of the card, if you ask me. FTR and Wardlow were going to win this. I don't even know why we had this match. Hey, I criticized on Raw. I criticized Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka facing 3 random local competitors. I get to criticize this match too. It's like this match I felt was totally unnecessary. And like, I just totally unnecessary and pointless, if you ask me. The plot thicken with the contract, if you say so. But again, agree to disagree. So then we get another Jon Moxley promo. Man, Moxley was all over this show. So he basically says he's gonna put on a display of violence that no one has ever seen before. And then we get the 4-way match. It's Dante Martin versus Fenix versus Wheeler Yuta versus Rush. This was a great match. I actually really, really like this match. I really like that Rush did that double drop kick to Fenix and Wheeler Yuta. Oh my god. So there's just this one spot where it was like you had Rush try to throw Fenix out the ring, but then he used the ropes to like hold himself and then kick Rush, which I thought was pretty cool. Triple H books women jobbers on Raw. Tony Khan is like, hold my bear, we would do it with the men. That's so true. And Wheeler Yuta ends up victorious in this contest. So this is only 4 of the men that were going to be competing in the Casino Battle Royal match. Is the Lucha Brothers, basically, versus... So it's Fenix versus Penta Acero Miedo versus Wheeler Yuta versus Claudio versus Dante Martin versus Andrade versus Rush. And then, of course, a surprise Joker. So this only featured like 4 of the men. And it was a great match. Wheeler Yuta's victorious. He's got momentum going into that ladder match. Now, looking at these participants, these are all pretty much a tag team. I mean, the Lucha Brothers are a tag team. Claudio Castelloni and Wheeler Yuta are pretty much a tag. Even though they haven't tagged together, they're pretty much in a group. Andrade and Rush are in a group, or they're a tag team. The only one that's by themselves is Dante Martin. And the Joker, I feel like, is going to be MJF. Good, very good match. That Casino Ladder match should be fire. It should be. I mean, with everybody in this match, I honestly think it's going to be a fantastic match. But I question as to why you put a bunch of tag teams in this match. Pretty much. Like, I question that. But nevertheless, I know it's going to be a great, great match. I'm looking forward to it. And who do you guys think the Joker is? I think it's going to be MJF. I can't think of anybody else that it would be. Because I feel like the winner is going to win a future title shot. So, let me see. I don't see the Joker being MJF. I think MJF will be going after the AEW Awards. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The winner gets a title match, a future title match. So, who else could it be? I think that whoever the Joker is going to win this match. I can't think of anybody else besides MJF. You guys start throwing ideas around. Who do you guys think that Joker is going to be in this match? So we also find out that Hangman is going to be the partner of Alex Reynolds and John Silver as Ten got injured and Evil Uno got taken out earlier in the night by Andrade. And so our main event ends up being the AEW World Trios Tag Team Title Tournament match. It's Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus Will Ospreay and the Aussie Open. This match was freaking incredible. Freaking fantastic. I mean, that delayed superplex to Omega by Aussie Open, incredible. Or how about how, like, when the match starts, Will Ospreay immediately went after Kenny Omega. Joker is riding him. Oh, that's a good one. Or my favorite, another spot that I like was when Aussie Open. One of them had Matt, the other one had Nick. They sandwiched Omega with them. I thought that was hilarious. Or that double clothesline to the Young Bucks by Mark Davis. This match had so many incredible spots. Or that Nick Jackson with the double facebuster to Aussie Open. Triple super kick to Kyle Fletcher. Come on now. That was incredible. But as great as this match was, like, I knew, you can make the argument and say this match was a little predictable. I mean, come on. Do we really think Will Ospreay and Aussie Open would win this? No. I knew Omega and the Young Bucks are going to win this, but I have to say credit to AEW because they actually did make me believe for a second that Will Ospreay and Aussie Open were going to win this. So I don't mind predictability as long as the match is great. I don't mind a predictable outcome as long as the match is great. You give me a predictable outcome in a crap match, I'm not going to like it. This was a great main event. And like I've always said, the purpose of a go-home show is to sell you the pay-per-view. Did they sell me the pay-per-view? Yes, they did. There were some things I didn't like on tonight's show, but aside from that, like, I thought it was a decent show. Good overall. Definitely a big improvement from last week, that's for sure. But like I said, I didn't like David Morrissey immediately coming out and aligning himself with Stokely Williams. I still didn't like the whole contract aspect of Moxley Punk, but Joker equals Enzo, and you can't teach that. LOL. I have to agree. Really, you guys think it's Enzo? Oh, that's an interesting choice. I guess we have to wait and see for at All Out. But so I would have to give this. I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10. I think this was a good go-home show. Gives 8 out of 10, Michael 101591 says. But with that being said, that pretty much concludes this review. I did go to Power Morphicon this past weekend. I did put up a couple of things up. Like I put up the cast reveal for Power Rangers Cosmic Fury, the Beast Morphers cast talking about Austin St. John, just to name a few. But I want to thank everybody who's watched my Power Morphicon videos, making my Power Rangers Cosmic Fury cast review my most watched video of all time with 13,000 views. And that just means the world to me, you guys. And I'm currently working on a Power Morphicon highlights video. I know it's the last day of Power Month, but it should be out by tomorrow, and I cannot wait to show you guys some of the highlights. I found some wrestling merchandise at Power Morphicon. I think you guys would be surprised to see that. You're missing All Out on Sunday because of work home. You should have asked for the day off. Call in sick. But with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continuous support. Like I said, Power Morphicon was freaking amazing. And it just means the world to me. For me anyways. So thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continuous support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I'll see you guys. If I don't see you guys tomorrow for Impact, I'll see you guys on Friday after AEW Rampage. Have a great night.